Local actor is speaking out. He's concerned the lack of professional theater in Windsor is a loss for the city. It's great that there's an abundance of unpaid community theater. It creates challenges for those looking to establish professional paid opportunities. For more on this, we're joined by the actor we've mentioned, Martin Ouellette. Good morning.
Morning.
And we're also joined by Arts Collective Theater Act Director Chris Rabideau. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
So, Martin, tell us more about what you're seeing as being an issue.
Well, as you alluded to, there's lots of volunteer theater, community theater, which is great. It's a wonderful development system. Ideally, it would be a development system for professional theater, but we are completely different from other cities of our size around the world, in Canada, in the United States, in Europe, in Asia. And I've traveled extensively as a performer and have worked in spaces all over the place. And every single one of those cities has 3 to 5 professional theater companies. There's usually a children's company or a professional theater company that performs for children. I want to be specific about that. This is not children performing for children. It's professional actors performing highly polished works for children. Then there will usually be an opera company. Often there will be some sort of technical theater like puppetry. And these are all professional theater companies. And these are not operating, in a lot of cases, on grants. These aren't operating on government money. These are private, for-profit enterprises, and they succeed. And I sort of took a step back as somebody who is a professional theater producer in this town to try and understand what makes us different.
And what did you find out?
It all comes down to real estate at the end of the day. There aren't enough venues. There aren't right-sized venues for professional performance. We have wonderful spaces like the Chrysler Theater, the Capitol Theater, but they are booked solid. The Chrysler Theater is associated with the college. So they have a bunch of college events, they have touring musicians that come in every week. So my company, for example, that works out of the Chrysler Theater, we can only get in there once or twice a year for a couple days. We get 5 hours to set up, and then we have 2 days to run our show.
And I can imagine that affects your performance.
It causes us to build our performances specifically for that. So we don't use sets. We use a lot of projections, which we develop in-house. We use small casts because at the end of the day, my goal is to pay the actors who are working for me. That's the goal. The art is great. I love making theater, but my goal is to establish a professional system. We have 2 professional training programs in this city, one at the college, one at the university. And when those kids graduate, there is not a single opportunity in this city for them to make a buck. There is Murder Mystery Dinner Theater, shouts to Michelle Manwaring. She's been running that for years. That's a professional opportunity. And other than that, there's us. Yeah. Which is children's theater.
And Chris, we brought you in because you're heavily involved in community theater. How do you see all of this?
Well, let's be honest. Martin's right in so many ways is that a lot of us go into the nonprofit sector because we can't manage to do the professional side of it because of the limited resources and such. I was just in Orangeville and saw a friend of mine, Leslie McCurdy, an artist here in Windsor who travels all over America and gets paid, comes here, and isn't able to make the money here that she makes everywhere else. But I saw her show in Orangeville. And I was surprised talking to the artistic directors there, and they were saying, "Oh, we're part of the city budget. If we fall under, they pay for it." And I was kind of surprised because we have so much theater here, and like I said, many of us have to go in the nonprofit sector because it's one of the only ways we can survive. We have to get grants. So ACT, Arts Collective Theater, runs by grants, and we're very lucky that we achieve hundreds of thousands of dollars in grants, and we're able to try and pay people honorariums. Not what they're worth, unfortunately, but we try to give something. But that's one of the only ways, unfortunately, in Windsor, we're able to make that money going forward. So we kind of had to go to that place because I think companies like ACT would like to bridge further and go further, and we want to continue to pay people what they're worth because we value that. But it's so hard to do it in our city right now, unfortunately. And I think we need to increase the value of the arts and what people think about it. We know it improves children's lives. We know from the get-go it helps them get better grades, keeps them in school, all those amazing things that you want for your children, right? We want them to stay in Windsor. Why does it have to be you have to go to America or Toronto? Why? It's not okay anymore to have a thriving arts community, It only helps us survive. I mean, we watch Netflix every day. We watch TV. We pay these people to do that for the enjoyment of our life, right? People have natural talent. We pay them. We pay a lot of our musicians fair equity. We should do that with theater.
I'll add that live performance is the only sector in entertainment that is not going to be market corrected by AI, right? There's going to be a boom in live performance. There already is a boom in live performance. That's why you see these venture capital firms and finance firms in the United States investing hugely in buying up venues because they know that this is coming. But our city would rather spend tens of millions of dollars on a liquor trolley by the river, right? If we invested 1/10 of that in a company like ACT, like Chris's company, I don't have access to your books, but I'm guessing that a $1.3 million capital grant would be completely transformative for you.
Revolutionary.
Right. I want to, before we go any further, hear this clip that we pulled. We're going to hear now from another local actor, Sarah Fontaine, started the Broadway Bunch, which is a group hoping to develop paid theater here in Windsor as well. Her partner is a musician who does often get paid to be involved in these types of performances. Hear what she had to say.
What we lack is any professional theater, paid especially, where people can actually afford to do the shows. It is a privilege for me to be able to do a show in Windsor because I take a financial hit if I'm in it. And typically, my husband, who is a bassist, gets paid to be in the pit, while I have to rehearse for upwards of 5 or 6 months and do the performances for free. It can't put food on the table. Exposure doesn't pay the bills. And it is really a conflict when you're trying to find a place that you feel valued. And obviously value isn't just in money, but you want to be able to, especially in my job as an educator, you want to be able to give people hope that there are jobs out there. And we just lack that here in Windsor. We just don't have it yet. I want to say yet, with hope.
That's Windsor actor Sarah Fontaine. What do you think about what you heard?
I would say that it's really strange that it's the only job where the more you love it, the less you should be paid, right? Like chefs love to cook. If they weren't employed at a restaurant, they would be cooking at home. They love it. Auto workers love cars. If they weren't getting paid to work on a car, they would probably be working on a car in their driveway. No one would ever say that the fact that they love these things devalues their work. In fact, it's the opposite. The more they love it, the more time they spend developing their skills, the more valuable their work is. And honestly, we're just asking to be treated like any other business that has the same sort of margins that we do, that drives business into the core the way that we do. When people come out to see a show, they don't just come to the show. They go out for dinner before the show. They go out for drinks after the show. Some people come in from out of town. That's hotel business. And we talk about that when we spend a bunch of money on a swim meet or something, but we never consider those knock-on effects when it comes to the arts.
Chris, what do you think needs to happen to give actors the success they need in Windsor?
I think one thing the city can do, it doesn't just have to be money. It can be space. I was just in London, UK, and I saw a show, Cabaret, and I thought, oh, this is great space. What they did was they were given a space and they retransmitted, like they redid it. So we have empty spaces everywhere. Could you imagine if we were given space, what we could do? I mean, we have people doing art all over the walls in this city. Let artists do great things and give us that power to do great things. So I think space is a huge one. We pay huge rental costs, huge rental costs. If I didn't have to pay rent on everything, or if I could have my budget could go down with that, that would be so helpful because real estate rent is so expensive. So can you imagine now from theater with grasping to find money, now has to pay higher bills, right? So those kinds of things are very, very challenging for us right now. And I think resources would help, and that's one of them.
Yeah, there's no theater company that I know that's worried about paying their light bill. The only thing they're worried about is rent. We all have a favorite business downtown, and this is not just theater. We all have a favorite business downtown that was very successful that was unable to stay open because their property got flipped out from under them. We need mechanisms to control the real estate industry in this town. They make their money on churn. They make their money on properties being flipped. A company sitting in a building for 20 years, to them, is no money, right? And unless we address those systems, I don't really see a path toward, utilize. You talk about revitalization downtown, but we don't want to actually do the things that would drive revitalization. We want to just keep sticking Band-Aids on it, but we're not addressing the underlying problems, which is from everything from facilities for our sort of projects to housing. It's all the same issue.
Right. We have to leave it there because of time, but I feel like we've only scraped the surface on this one. Thank you so much for your passion and everything that you guys are doing to try and bring awareness to this. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.